get rid of something that's been generated in the image that you didn't want there. Select that with the brush, and there we go, it's removed it and it's kind of replaced it with the steam, and it's given me a few options. We'll scroll through the different options. This is Matt from deal.ai, here to tell you about the new image editing feature in scroll stopping ads and hero images. When you go into scroll stopping ads or hero images, like I am here, on your most recently generated image, you'll see this new pencil icon just here. And then if you open up any of the previous images that you've created, you'll see the pencil icon and those as well. And clicking that will open up our new image editing feature. Let's try it on this image here. We've got a number of tools in here that can help you customize your image and create the perfect scroll stopping ad or hero image. When you first go into the tool, it will be on the crop feature. This enables you to customize the shape of the image to a few different standard shapes. So for instance, you can have it as a square, and then you can drag the image and move it around within that square frame. You can have it as a portrait image, and again you can drag. Or you can have it as a number of different platforms. So for instance, if you wanted to post something on X, formerly known as Twitter, you can pick the most relevant shape here. The same with Instagram if you want it on stories. The same with Facebook. And these ones are annotated because people have been asking for 4 to 5 and 2 to 3 posts. So if that's what you're interested in doing, you can choose either of those options and then again drag the image into the frame. If you wanted to change the rotation, you can do that using this bar here to add a little bit of interest to the image, like this perhaps. And then you can also scale the image so that the exact part of the picture that you want in the frame when you crop it is shown. And again, you can just move the image around. I think that looks quite cool, but actually I'm just going to go back to how we were before. So everything that you do in the image editor, you can go back using the undo and redo buttons at the top. And if you wanted to go back to how the image was right at the beginning, you've got this button up here which will take you back all the way through any edits that you've made back to the original image. As well as rotating, scaling and cropping in this tool, you can also rotate the image, which is the same as rotating 90 degrees using this bar here, but it's obviously a bit easier just to click that once. And then you can flip the image as well if you wanted to do that. So plenty of options for customizing the shape, layout and presentation of the image in that tool there. Going into the Resize tools, if you needed your image in a specific size, let's just say that you're really optimizing your page speed for your funnel or your website, and the actual size of the image, which is here, is 1920 by 1080 as it says at the bottom here. If that's too big and it's going to cause loading issues, or it's going to cause the page to load too slowly, you can then downsize that image. So let's just say I wanted it at 540. You can see it automatically puts in the 304 at the other side, so that when I click out, it maintains the scale it was at, but the size of the image is reduced, and then when you download that, the file size will be smaller and will load quicker. And similarly, if I knew how tall I wanted it to be, so let's just say I needed it to be 500 pixels tall, then it will automatically adjust the width. So if you wanted to resize the image and change the view on it, I would suggest cropping first, and then once you finish cropping, then coming into the Resize tool and then creating it at the final size that you're interested in. Again, let's go back to the image, how it was previously. We've got some filter tools on the image. These are similar to filters that you get on several social media platforms. So they just change the colors of the image to highlight different parts and to add particular tones. So you've got numbers of them here, and then you've got black and white options, and then you've got some sepia and other options just here. So I'm going to go back to how that was before. If you wanted more control over the color changes, you can use the fine tune option just here. So you've got a number of options. You can increase or decrease the brightness using this control here. Contrast, saturation, let's actually just increase that just to give it a bit more color pop. The color temperature, if you wanted to make it sort of slightly more blue or slightly more orange, you can adjust that. The clarity, which is similar to sharpness, you can see that's kind of brought out a lot of the details there. And you've also got a vignette feature where you can add a white vignette or a black vignette to the edges of the picture to highlight what's in the middle. And again, you can use the undo tools, but again, I'm going to go right back to the beginning so that we've got the image how it was. And actually, I might just increase the saturation ever so slightly and increase the sharpness or clarity. Great. Okay, the next thing you can do is add a frame to your image. So you've got a number of different frames in different styles. For each one of these frames, you can increase how much of the outside of the image that the frame takes up. You can change how far away it is from the edge or how close it is into the middle. And then you can also round the corners of the frame as well. Plus change the color to whatever you like. So let's try and pick one that kind of matches. My color matching skills aren't too great, but that will do. And again, you've got a number of different frame options, so you can pick the one that brings the most focus to your image. Going on to the sticker tool, this one is quite a regularly requested feature. This will allow you to add additional images on top of this one. So if I click select image here, that will then pop up a file picker. And it's best if you use a transparent image, so a PNG file, because then you won't get any white borders around the outside. So if I pick the deal.ai icon, for example, if I click off of that, you can see that it blends into the background without white edges. So if you can find a semi-transparent image, that would work perfectly. So once you've placed the image onto your picture, you can move it around, you can scale it, and if you hold down the Shift key, that will scale it evenly. If you don't hold down the Shift key, that will then scale it in both directions. So let's just make sure that that scales correctly. You can rotate it and do all the other things that you would expect, flip the image, etc. Add additional layers or duplicate it, and then move things to front and move things to back so that you can choose the ordering of the images. I'm just going to go back to where that was not rotated and leave that there. And you can add multiple stickers on top of your image to your heart's content. Okay, so now to annotate the image. You can add some additional items onto here. So let's just say I wanted to add a box onto the image. I'll choose rectangle just here, and I'll say the radius about 20%, just to give it a rounded border, and then I can draw that onto the image. I can add a number of different things, arrows, I can choose my own path, etc. But obviously one of the most important things is to be able to add text. So if I pick a colour that's similar to the border colour, click in to add text. I can say Matt's delicious cookies, and then once that's done I can pick that up and move it, and then increase the font size. That's probably a little too big. Let's see how I'm done with that. Doesn't quite fit, so go to the next one. And there we go, we can now add text. So if you wanted to add your magic hook on top of your scroll stopping ad, you can now do that. You can give it this background border as I've done here with this rectangle, right within the deal.ai platform. Okay, now onto one of the coolest features, which is our AI editing features. So if we go onto this retouch tool here, we have a couple of different options. So we have deal.ai magic replace and deal.ai magic remove. So magic remove you would use if you wanted to get rid of something that's been generated in the image that you didn't want there. So let's say, for instance, this kind of donut looking cookie that's over here, if I just select that with the brush, give our AI a few seconds to think about it, and there we go, it's removed it and it's kind of replaced it with the steam that would otherwise have been behind it. So it's as though the item was never in the image at all. I can then click on the replacement. If I change my mind, I can delete it and go back to the image as it was before, but I can also do that using the undo tools. And so I can pick any part of the image and choose to remove it. So here, for instance, this kind of piece of metal that's at the top of the plate, which I don't really like the look of in the image. And it's replaced it with what would have looked behind, which is the candlestick. So a really powerful tool in removing objects from your images that you don't want there anymore. Magic replace is slightly different. So let's just say I don't actually like the look of this kind of cookie donut kind of thing. So I pick deal.ai magic replace, and then I just draw over the top of the thing that I don't want anymore. But instead of it just removing it, it then gives me a box which prompts me to decide what I would like to see there instead. So let's just be really boring and say cookie, let's see what we get. Press enter on that, and again give it a few seconds to go away and give the AI time to think about it. And it's given me a few options. So if I use this here, it will scroll through the different options. And I think that one's probably the best of the lot. I've got the option to choose how it blends into the image. So if you can see there's kind of a bit of a border around it, you can change that to medium or large feathering, which blends it in with the background. Actually, that looks quite good compared to how it was before. You've also got some more options. You can edit the prompt. So if I click here, this will give me the box back so that I can describe that slightly differently, what I'd like to see in the image. Or you've got this button here, which I'll click, which will go off and generate more options for me to replace this with. And again, just give it a moment to do that. And it's come back and it's given us some more cookie options to replace that with. Let's go back to here. I think that one looks pretty good. Let's see how it looks feathered. Let's see, that doesn't look too great with the feathering, so I will put that back to small. It's something that you can play around with, try different options and see what suits your image best. So here we've taken that original image that we had and we've made quite a few changes to it. So let's just say that we're done. If actually you decide that you didn't want to make those changes, then you've got this small X at the top left here. Clicking that will discard all of the changes that you've made to your image. However, I do want to keep these changes, so I'm going to press done at the top right here. This will then go off and process my image. So give it a moment to do that. You can see it's thinking about it because this is kind of fading in and out while it processes it. And then once the processing is done, your edited image now appears in place of what you had there previously. So you can do everything with this that you would have done with the previous image. So you can copy it, you can download it, you can turn it into a video. So if I pick that download, again, if I'd resize that to a smaller size, then when I pick to download it, it's going to give me a smaller image in terms of file size, which is great for super fast funnels, ultra fast funnels, and if you're trying to optimize image size on your site. If I wanted to make further edits to this, I can just press the edit button again, and that will reload it. However, anything that you've previously changed is no longer editable, so that becomes part of that image. So you'll be starting from this as a base. If you wanted to go back to the original image and use that as a base, you can click this button at the top right, which will reload the original image before your edits. You can then use that as a starting point to do another set of edits. However, if I do press save on here, then that will overwrite the other edits. So basically I would lose this edit, and this will be replaced with the other edits that I make. So be sure that you've saved any edits that you do want to keep before you start another edit from the original image. And then as you can see, that's now showing in the thumbnail in the gallery just here, so I can see the edits that I've made. And if I make edits to any of these other images, those will show in there as well. So I hope you find the new image editing features really useful, and it helps you create some very powerful scroll stopping ads and hero images. And we're really looking forward to see what you create with the tool. Thank you very much.